Hello scholars, hello friends, it's EduMath Hub. In this video, we'll be looking at the JAMB 2025 biology mock questions. So stick with me to the end of the video because you stand to gain a lot. So let's take them real quick, one by one. Let's go. The first one is, response to gravity by plants is, and they give all these options here. The first thing you need to know is the word tropism. You can see all the options have tropism. So what is tropism? Tropism can be defined as the directional movement of an organism or a plant in response to an external stimulus. Okay, very important. Now the first one here is phototropism. Photo means light normally in physics and chemistry or biology. Photo means light. So this one is response to light. When a plant, for example, grows towards the direction of light, maybe this is sunlight here, or maybe an opened window. So the plant is growing towards the direction of that source of light. So that is what is called phototropism. The next one is geotropism. It's when a plant or an organism is moving or growing towards gravity. Chemotropism is the movement or response towards chemicals. Why hydro means water now. So hydrotropism is the movement or growth towards source of water. So these ones are not the answer, because the question says gravity, so the answer is option B. An excretory product of plants used in the production of medicine for malaria treatment is dash. So they give all these options here, as you can see. Now the first option here, tannin, is a chemical which is used in tanning leather to make leather have good strength. Okay, so that is tannin. Then you have alkaloid. Alkaloids are basically organic compounds. So a critical element of alkaloid is what is called quinine. Quinine is an organic compound. They always use things like chloroquine. That chloroquine is an anti-malaria drug that if you take it, it will help you to combat against malaria. The next one is gum. Gum is used for sealing or for thickening something, as in to gum two things together. The next one is mucilage. Mucilage is just a secretion from the body of the plant. So a thick secretion from the trunk of the plant. So it is not used for anything. It does not have anything to do with anti-malaria treatment. So the answer is the one that has quinine. So that is alkaloid. So the answer is option B. The method of vegetative propagation in cocoa and kolanut is dash. First of all, you need to understand vegetative propagation. There are some plants that, like some perennial crops, that take years to grow. You can't just plant them from seeds, because it will take time for it to grow. Something like kolanut now, you cannot plant it from the seed. It will take time, it will take years to grow because it is perennial in nature. So you need to cut a part or use a part of an adult kolanut. You now use it to breed a new kolanut. The process is called budding. That's what is used, budding. So all this grafting and layering, they are used for herbaceous plants. The next one is depletion of ozone layer causes dash. Ozone layer is a covering over the atmosphere that prevents the intense UV rays from the sun from reaching the earth. Now, when this ozone layer is depleted, that means when it is reduced, okay, then the UV rays from the sun will be reaching the earth at full intensity. The intensity will be too high, and the UV rays will destroy the skin to affect the skin burn or skin cancer. So soil erosion has nothing to do with ozone layer. Soil erosion is basically caused by water. The same thing with flooding. Flooding has to do with water. It has nothing to do with ozone layer. Earthquake has to do with what is called, in geography, what is called tectonic movements. The answer is skin cancer. So move to number 5. For number 5, we are told that the type of placentation that is common in succulent fruits is what? And these are the options right here. The first thing to note is that the succulent fruit is a fruit that has a fleshy pericarp. What is a pericarp? A pericarp is just the external layer of a fruit. So fleshy fruits are examples of succulent fruits. And you also need to understand placentation. So placentation is just a word which refers to the arrangement of the ovules, which will develop into seeds within the ovary. So it's giving you an idea of how the seeds in a succulent fruit is structured, as in how are they arranged. From the diagram on your screen, you will see the different types and the shapes of the seeds inside the fruits. So for succulent fruits are majorly axile placentation. That is a placentation in which the ovules are arranged along the central axis of the ovary. So you can see this example here, like what you have in tomato. Tomato is a very succulent fruit. So the answer is axile placentation. That's a C. The shape of normal red blood cells is dash. Okay, so what you're going to do is, first of all, need to understand the parts of blood. So the parts of blood, you have RBC, which is red blood cells. You have WBC, which is white blood cells. You have platelets. And you have plasma. So plasma is a liquid part of blood. ROBC, the shape is biconcave. Okay, and the reason why it's biconcave is so that it will have a large surface area for the absorption of oxygen. Then WBC, the shape is amoeboid. Okay, this one is for WBC. But the answer to this question is biconcave because we're talking about red blood cell. Red blood cells have biconcave shape. So for the next one, the coloration of leaves is used for which test? So to give all these options here, first of all, need to know how these guys are tested in a leaf. We're talking about leaf here right now. So the first thing is protein test. Protein test in leaves follows a non-destructive technique. So for the leaves to be decolorized, then that means you are using the destructive technique. Okay, so this is out of it here. Next one is fat test. Fat test does not involve the decoloration of leaves because fat test involves using what is called translucent spot test. This is what it looks like. You just take the leaf and you press it against something like a filter paper. Then you see something like a stain will be on the paper. If you can have a stain like that, that is translucent, then there is presence of fat. For vitamin C test uses what is called DCPIP. It's an organic compound. DCPIP stands for 2,6-dichlorophenolene dophenol. Okay, that compound or that solution or that titrant will be turned colorless, showing you that there's presence of vitamin C. So it does not involve the coloration of leaves. The test for starch involve removing the chlorophyll in the leaf. That's the first thing. And the way to do that is to boil the leaf in ethanol or an alkanol. So the answer is starch test. Okay, keep that in mind. The fin beside the gills in a fish is called dash. So they give all these options here. First of all, there are different kinds of fins in a fish. So you have dorsal fin. Dorsal fin is the fin at the back of the fish, basically used for balance. That's dorsal fin. While pectoral fin is the fin that is close to the gills. Anal fin is the fin that is close to the anus of the fish, towards the rear end. While the caudal fin has to do with the tail. So the answer is pectoral fin. What is the advantage of monocropping? Mono means one. So when you are planting a single crop over a long period of time, then that's monocropping. So what are the advantages? So the first one, you said increase soil fertility. If you are planting a single crop over a long period of time, there's no way the soil fertility will be high. Okay, so this cannot be the answer. Next one is simplicity in farming operations. This might be the answer because if you are planting a single crop, then you already know the things that you need to make your farming operations easy. The next one is pest resistance. So pest resistance is the resistance to pest. But is it possible for you to be planting a single crop and for you to have pest resistance? The answer is no, because if you're planting a single crop, the pest that affects that crop will be much. It will be much on the farm. You understand? So most of the plants will be affected by the same pest. This one cannot be the answer. Why diversity in produce? There's no diversity in produce because you are planting the same thing. Okay, you are planting the same thing, so there cannot be diversity. So the answer is option B. Sudan Savannah can be located in which state? So Sudan Savannah is basically northern part of Nigeria. Northern parts of Nigeria. So just check the options. Look for the state that are in the northern part of Nigeria. That's Borno. That's Borno and Yobe. What type of vegetation is Kolanut? You must first understand that Kolanut is always available all year round. So that means it needs a large amount of rainfall. Okay, a large amount of rainfall. So let's quickly look at the options real quick. So what is forest vegetation? This kind of vegetation that has a very high temperature. Okay, it has a high constant temperature and the rainfall is very abundant, as in rainfall is available all year round. Then grassland, the rainfall is not as much as it is in rainforest. Then desert vegetation are very arid, dry areas, while montane is just in between forest and grassland. So since Kolanut is available all year round, it needs a large amount of rainfall? So the answer is forest vegetation. So Kolanut majorly thrives in tropical rainforest. So the answer is option A. Which of these has one body opening? One body opening. So the body opening has to do with maybe the mouth or the anus. In amoeba, there's no opening at all in the amoeba. There's no opening in the glanna, and there's no opening in paramecium. So that means the only answer is hydra. Hydra has an opening, which is called the mouth of the hydra. It's called the mouth. And the mouth is a transient mouth. So the hydra uses that particular opening as its mouth, as in for ingestion of food, and uses as its anus for excreting waste. The study of natural community is called dash. So they give all these options here. So the first one is ecology. That's just the study of the relationship between organisms and their environment. Okay, just in a small scale. So ecology is the study of natural community. We're talking about like large amount of organisms, how they relate to each other and their relationship with the environment. Why ecology is the study of a single species, like a single animal, like maybe lion and its environment, a single animal. Okay. Why gynecology is the study of the female reproductive system. So this one is not even among. So the answer is gynecology, which is the study of large group of organisms or communities. You want to know how they interact with each other, okay, and the environment. So the answer is option B. The ability to taste PTC is an example of dash. So PTC is a chemical. It stands for phenylcarbamide. Okay, that's PTC, phenylcarbamide. So some people can taste it, some people cannot taste it. For you to be able to taste it, maybe if you're a taster, you must have the allele. The allele for T, that is capital T. That means it is dominant in your gene. But if you're a non-taster, as in you cannot taste it, then it's going to be small t. So this compound generally is bitter. Some people can taste it as bitter, while some people can taste it as not bitter at all. So it's either you're a taster or you're a non-taster. And you'll be a taster if you have the allele for capital T, that's dominant gene. And you'll be a non-taster if you have the small one, that's small letter T, that's recessive. So which kind of variation is that? So that means this thing will be very, very like rare. If you pick 10 people, for example, you might see only one person that is a taster, because this gene is very, very rare. So that means if you draw the graph now for different kind of people, if you draw the graph will look something like this. Having gaps in the graph, like if you have one person here, before you can have another person, there will be a distance. It will be very, very far from each other. It will not be like histogram that will be like continuous like this. Okay, the graph will be there will be gaps in the graph. So that means it's discontinuous, because out of 30 people, it might be 2 people that are tasters. Out of 100 people, it might be only one person that's a taster. It is discontinuous variation. Okay, so the answer is option C. Next one, an example of a sex-linked trait is dash. So your skin color is not sex-linked. Okay, it's not sex-linked. Height is not sex-linked. Body shape is not sex-linked. The only sex-linked trait there is color blindness, which can come from the father or the mother when the child inherits the gene. So the answer is color blindness. Okay, so it is caused by a mutation in the gene of the X chromosome. So secondary thickening occurs in dash. You first of all know what is thickening. Thickening has to do with the widening, okay, the gate, something called gate. When the stem, like you have a tree like this, for example, and the tree is becoming bigger, it's becoming thicker. So you say the tree is getting maybe wider. So when there's increase in the gate of the tree, then you say there is thickening. Now that thickening can be of 2 types. There's primary thickening and there's secondary thickening. Secondary thickening is the one that occurs in the roots, while primary thickening occurs in the stem. There's dicot and monocot. So secondary thickening only occurs in dicot plants, but it occurs in the roots. So the answer is dicot roots. So you can see dicot stem. They're trying to confuse you. Okay, so the answer is dicot roots. Protein is synthesized in the dash. So they give all these options here. So the first thing to check, let's just check the options and their functions. So you have the nucleus. The nucleus is the control center of the cell. So it's the control center. It controls everything in the cell. Mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell. That's nothing to do with protein synthesis. Okay, then cytoplasm is the fluid that is inside the cell, the fluid content of the cell. Okay, the jelly-like substance that is inside the cell. Now that is cytoplasm. It has nothing to do with protein synthesis too, but there's a site for protein synthesis in the cell. That site is called ribosome. So ribosomes are sites of protein synthesis in the cell. So the answer is option B. Keep that in mind. The community that persists for a long time is called dash. The neutral community is one that is majorly affected by maybe things like maybe emigration or like death. Like maybe the organisms are leaving that particular part of the community, or they are dying. The temporal community is just the succession, how one community can move from one to the next. It is temporal, it's not permanent. Why perennial community has to do with the organism that first of all colonized that community or that environment or that piece of land. Okay, but climax community is a community that can last for a long time. When the community reaches the maximum state, where it achieves equilibrium with its environment and with other organisms, you say the community has reached its climax. So the answer is option A. Okay, keep that in mind. The ability of an organism to survive in an environment is called adaptation. The net result of natality and mortality gives what? So natality is like birth rate, mortality is death rate. So if you add or subtract the two, you get what is called growth rate. Now on to number 21. A short, sharp and curved beak is an adaptation for dash. Now once you see short, sharp and curved, what should come to your mind is the beak of an eagle. Eagles are carnivorous in nature and they majorly use their beaks for tearing flesh. So the answer is for tearing flesh. The filtrated blood leaving the kidney by the renal vein is dash. Now the renal vein is what carries blood from the kidney back to the heart, while the renal artery carries blood into the kidney. So that renal artery that is bringing the blood, that blood is oxygenated. It has oxygen in it. So, and also that blood contains products of excretion. So when that blood has been filtered by the kidney, everything will pass to the renal vein. From there, it will not go to the heart. But by then, the oxygen in the blood would have been removed because the important nutrients from the blood would have been removed and taken up by the body. So what will be left will be deoxygenated blood. So the answer is option B. The next one is the sense organ for balancing is the part of the organ responsible for balancing is what is called the vestibular system, which is made up of the semicircular canal. So that part can be found in the inner ear. So the ear is the organ for balance. So the answer is option B. To test for starch in leaves, the leaves are first decolorized with. So test for starch, like we said earlier, the leaves have to be decolorized because the chlorophyll needs to be removed. So the leaf will be boiled with a solvent like ethanol. So it will be boiled with hot ethanol. That hot ethanol will now remove the chlorophyll, making the leaves white. Lamarck's theory is a theory of dash. So you have the first one, survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest was proposed by Charles Darwin, talking about what species have to go through to survive in their habitat. It's also related to natural selection. Both of them, they have similar meanings. The mutation is change in genes. So use and disuse was proposed by Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Okay, he was one that proposed this theorem, which proposes that traits acquired during an organism's lifetime through frequent use or disuse of an organ can be passed down to the offspring. That is, an organism can respond to its environment by using a part of its organ or by not using a part of its organ, like what you have in the giraffe, as you can see in the diagram. Because the giraffe has been stretching its neck to pick up plants from tall trees, that is why it has a long neck. That trait of having long neck will be passed down to the generation of that giraffe. Okay, so that is use and disuse by Jean Lamarck. So answer is option B. The phenotypic ratio of F2 generation from a cross between TTRR and TTRR is dash. So in this case here, capital T stands for tall, okay, and capital R stands for round. TT stands for short, which is recessive, as you can see, small letter t. These two are dominant, that's why they're capital letters. Then small r stands for wrinkled, okay, wrinkled. So when you cross this, to make it fast for you, just pick the gametes. The gametes here are, everything here is the same, right? You have TT, the same. So just pick only one. Pick only one here. This one is the same. Pick only one here. This one is also the same. Pick only one here. So when you cross this, if you do your normal crossing, so if you cross this, it will be like this, TT. So this fourth generation of offsprings here is what is called F1 generation, or the first filial generation. Okay, now the question says F2. as you can see from here, F2. So you need to cross these guys again. But before you can cross them, you need to first of all pick the gametes. Now, how will you pick the gametes? The gamete will be capital T. Just look at what is there. You have capital T, you also have capital R, you have small t, and you have small r. These are the combinations that you have here. So you're going to cross this with itself. So versus versus TR again to get the second filial generation. But to do this, it will be complex. To be complex to do this with this method, it will be very complex, as in to be drawing it like this, it will be complex. So you need to use what is called the funnel method. So this is the funnel method here. Let me show you how to draw this diagram. So you are pairing TR, right? So you're going to pair the capital T first and the capital R, which is what I have here, as you can see. Then you pair your capital T and R, small r. That is what you have here. So you have done that one for T. You can see capital T like this. Then you now do it for small t, which is short. So you pick small t, you pick big R. Then later, that is down here. Then later, you pick small t, then you pick small r. So don't forget that T, capital T stands for tall, R stands for round, T stands for short, R stands for wrinkled. After arranging it like this, you also do the same thing at this point here. Once you have done this, then start pairing them normally. So TR crossing with TR will give you TR, capital T, capital R. Then TR crossing with big T and small r will give you big T, big R, big T, and small r. The point is, you're just putting them together. You're just pairing them, as you can see. These two together now will give you this one. Okay, you're just pairing them. This one now and this one now will give you the same thing here. The question says you should find the phenotypic ratio. So phenotypic ratio has to do with their physical appearance. So look at the combination that you can have. Is that you have tall and round. Okay, tall, round. That's the first one. So look for where you have tall and round. Okay, once you have done that, look for where you have tall and wrinkled. So let's count the tall and round first. Just look for anywhere you have capital T and capital R. So let me count those ones first. So anywhere you have capital T and capital R, that's tall round, because the tall round gene is dominant. You can see it's capital letter. So I'm going to mark here. I have capital T here. So capital T. R, I have it here. I have it here. So it's present in the first four sides. Then it's also use capital T and capital R, capital T and capital R. Then it's also here. Then it's also here, and it's here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9. So capital TR is 9. That is tall and round. The next one to do is to check for the ones that are tall and wrinkled. Tall and wrinkled means it should be capital T and it should be small r. That means you don't have capital R. Okay, that's tall and wrinkled, because R stands for wrinkled. So I need the ones that has capital T and small letter r. So let's check. This capital T and small letter r here, that's 1. Capital T and small letter r. This on that one here. Then this on that one here. So it's 3 of them, as you can see. So that one will be 3. That will be ratio 3. So we will now do short and round. So for short and round, I need small letter T. Small letter T means short. Capital letter R means round. So short and round, I need small letter T and capital R. So this one here, this one here, and this one here. So that's also ratio 3. That one is also ratio 3. Then just remain only one. This last one is small letter T, which is short, and small letter R, which is wrinkled. So this last one means short and wrinkled. So it's only one of it. That's ratio 1. So the phenotypic ratio is 9:3:1. 9 ratio 3 ratio 3 ratio 1. So let's check that in the option. You can see it here, 9:3:1. So that's option C. Okay, I hope you understand. So let's write on. The incisors in rabbits are used for dash. Now, incisors are the teeth in the front of the mouth of the rabbit, as you can see in the diagram right now. They are actually used for cutting or gnawing. Gnawing means cutting. That's similar meaning to cutting. They are not used for chewing. Chewing is for molars and premolars, and breaking too. Breaking is for premolars and molars. But tearing is for canines. Canines are used for tearing. So the answer is for gnawing. Pitcher plant is an example of, so pitcher plant is a plant that feeds on insects. That is what is showing on your screen right now. So it basically sets up this like pitcher trap. So when any insect lands on the trap, the insect will fall into the trap where it will be digested by digestive fluids. Another example of a plant that behaves like this is what is called the Venus flytrap. So the answer is option D. But you have to be careful of the first option, which is carnivore. Any animal or plant that feeds on another animal is called a carnivore, or you can say it is carnivorous. But a carnivore that feeds only on insects is said to be insectivorous. So the closest answer that points as in that is so specific is insectivorous. So the next one is animals obtain carbon by dash. So the first one is absorbing carbon dioxide. Human beings cannot absorb carbon dioxide. We only give out carbon dioxide during respiration process. So this one cannot be the answer. The next one is releasing oxygen. We don't release oxygen. We absorb oxygen during breathing. So this one is wrong. Obtain carbon from the atmosphere, wrong. So it's basically from plants. Plants make their food using CO2, water, sunlight, and chlorophyll to produce glucose. That process is called photosynthesis. So when they make that food will be in form of glucose, which will now be stored as starch in the plant. So when human beings or animals eat this plant, starch and glucose are basically organic compounds. They contain carbon. The carbon from there will now enter into the body of the animal. The joint that allows movement in all directions is called, this one is very straightforward. The answer is ball and socket joint. That is the joint on your shoulder. So it allows 360-degree movement, okay, in all directions. So that's option D. Now for number 31, which of the following is used to lubricate joints? Now, a joint is a point where two or more bones meet. The next thing to do is check the options that are given to you. So this first option here is synovial membrane. Synovial membrane is a membrane in between the bones that releases a fluid called the synovial fluid. And the function of that fluid is to lubricate the bones so that there is less friction between the bones, so that two bones do not brush or scratch against each other. Okay, that's the function of the synovial membrane. Now, ligaments are tissues that connect bone to bone. So it has nothing to do with lubricating the joints. Next one is synovial fluid. Synovial fluid is a thick lubricating fluid that helps to lubricate the joints, and it is released by the synovial membrane. So its function is to lubricate the joints. The next one is tendon. Tendons are actually tissues that connect muscle to bone. So the answer is synovial fluid. Okay, synovial fluid is the answer. Reduction of chromosome number to haploid in meiosis occurs in dash. So haploid means half or division by 2. While meiosis is a kind of cell division which produces gametes with half the number of chromosomes of the parents. So the parents will have 46 chromosomes. When the sex cells are produced, it will be 23. That is half. That's why it's called haploid. So genes have nothing to do with this process. Zygote is the fusion of the sperm and the egg cell, which later results in the fetus. So that one has 46 chromosomes complete, because the fetus is developing to a full human being. A full human being has 46 chromosomes. So that one is not the answer. Next one is somatic cells. Somatic cells are body cells. So they basically undergo mitosis. And in mitosis, there is no division or half number of chromosomes. It's always like the same number of chromosomes, which is 46. But in sex cells undergo meiosis. And when they undergo meiosis, they produce half the number of chromosomes of each of the parents. So it will be half, 23. That's why the answer is option A. Which of the following increases competition? And they give us this option here. So mortality, that is the organisms dying. So when the organisms are dying, there's no way competition can increase. So this one cannot be the answer because there is decrease in population. Next one is immigration. Immigration means like organisms or people coming into a particular area. So when they come like that, it can increase competition. So this one is a potential answer. Option C means intense predators. When you have intense predators or very dangerous animals, they will feed on the prey. And when they feed on the prey, that tends to decrease competition. So this one cannot be the answer. Next one is emigration. Emigration is the organisms leaving their habitats and going to other habitats. So that one will decrease competition. So the only answer there is option C, which is immigration. Next one is nitrifying bacteria converts dash. Ammonia or the ammonium salt is converted into nitrates by a process known as nitrification. And there are two bacteria that are involved in this process. The first one is called nitrosomonas. This nitrosomonas will convert ammonia into nitrite. Then nitrobacter, which is the second bacteria, will now convert the nitrite into nitrate. Then the plant will now absorb it from the roots. So this is the process of nitrification. Ammonium salt converting to nitrate is the basic process of nitrification, which is done by the nitrifying bacteria, maybe Nitrosomonas or Nitrobacter. That's the process. Nitrate to ammonia is like the reverse process. It is, you can call it denitrification, because you are going back. Okay, you are going back to ammonia. So the answer is option A. The function of guard cells in plants is to dash. Their function basically is to help the plant to regulate a part called the stomata. The stomata helps the plant to absorb CO2 for the process of photosynthesis. It also helps the plant to give out oxygen after photosynthesis has occurred. So the stomata helps the plant in gaseous exchange and the process of transpiration, which is the water loss from the leaves. So guard cells help to regulate stomata opening. And the stomata, they open at like during the day and they close at night, because their opening and closing is affected or regulated by light. Okay, by light. So these are the 35 biology questions we were able to get for JAMB 2025 mock. I hope you have gained something from watching this video. If you have gained something, kindly click the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends so that they can gain something too. And watch the next video on your screen right now, because it's also going to help you for your JAMB 2025 success.